Hi, everyone. Jill Horowitz here. I'm really excited to introduce you to Sam Phanor. I think the example I gave is that he's like a diamond. There are so many beautiful facets to him. So, in addition to earning his associate's and bachelor's degree at Broward College, he then went on to Nova and got his MBA. He's currently working in the Margate Police Department. He's won the Police Benevolent Association Award. He is a personal brand strategist. He has a marketing company. He has a podcast series for his home brewing, and he empowers people with his One Life nonprofit that he runs. So without further ado, I'm going to let Sam tell all about himself. So Sam, why don't you tell us what you're doing now? Some of the
I
things that
appreciate,
you
I appreciate, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate being on here and talking to you guys about everything about me. So full time, I work for the city of Margate. What's really cool about that I started off on the road for the first 3 years. After that, the chief realized that social media has a huge impact on the community. So me and my partner Rachel Drusbick, we both got into the role of community relations officers. So basically, what we do is try to change the heart and mind of our city. In general, trying to change the stereotype that people believe police officers are. Try to show the human side of that. We also run all the events, social media, and just doing cool stuff that's not typical that normal police officers do. And also documenting that and showing that on social media. Also, with that being said, I've been in Army Reserve since 2004, right before I started Broward College. And Two other things that I do, I'm a personal brand strategist with the Brand Builders Group, who are Jedis in everything they do to teach branding and not just how to use social media to brand, but truly understand who you are and what you're actually trying to provide value to the world with. And they're very good at bringing that out of people and getting them to shine. With that being said, I also do a lot of home brewing. Been doing that for about 3 years. Starting last year, I started documenting my process and really trying to perfect my stout. And stout is a style of beer. It's heavy gravity. I really like that, and that's where I perfect. With that being said, I also wanted to start a podcast so I can start networking and providing people with value from the craft beer world, but also marketing and branding tips that are basically transitional to any field. Doesn't matter if you're in a craft beer world. It's just basically understanding the mechanics that go behind the thought process of why they do what they do, and that can be applied to any industry. So it's really cool. It's called the Craft Life podcast. So the Craft Life of itself is me documenting everything within my craft, and the craft is basically very similar to my One Life non-for-profit, which is telling people to live their life to the max. The Craft Life is about sharpening your craft, and everybody has a craft. Whether it's teaching, being a police officer, whatever it is, that's your craft, and how do you perfect that? So that's what the Craft Life is really about. Hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, I can start my own brewery, AKA called the Craft Life. And I can kind of exude all who I am through that, especially with the big beers and the environment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So then the One Life, it's a great opportunity to push people, to motivate people to live their lives to the max. I'm all about growth and all about, going from, stage A to B and C and continue on in life. I think that if you're not growing, you're really not living. Even if you're not trying to run your own business, grow personally, with fitness or, just be the best dad or be the best mom or something like that. It's always a good growth. It's not always about business as growth, it's about personal and spiritual and all that stuff. So that's pretty
do.
sums it up.
Yes, no, that's amazing. And we'll look forward to your brand. I can see not only going local, but national and international. So we'll definitely be keeping in touch about that. But I think the exciting part for us is wanting to know where you went to high school and then how we got so lucky to have you as a Broward College alum.
Well, I can start off with Broward College. My mom went to Broward College for a long time. She started taking just different classes, and I was probably like 5, 6, 7, and then she stopped, and then she went back and she went to get her nursing thing, which she took it super serious. So I grew up on North Campus, South. I think it's South Campus. I was there because she was always studying. My mom studies, I don't know, all day. And obviously, well, during the summertime when she was taking classes, she brought me there, and I had nothing but to do but ride my bike. And it was really cool. I know this is probably not what you're allowed to do, but in North Campus, I used to ride up the stairs and do all this crazy stuff. So for me, it was a great experience. I grew up there. But I've been in Cold Springs all my life. I moved down here from New York when I was 4 years old. Started off at Rambowood Elementary, Rambowood Middle, and then went to Taravella. From Taravella, I went to basic training. And then when I came back from basic training, I enrolled right into Broward College. I had to mature a little bit. I mean, the school was great. I just had to mature a little bit. So I wasn't doing the best I should have done. I think after my first deployment in 2006, I came back home and I was like, I seen all my friends graduate and I was like, I need to do better. And, Broward College was a great opportunity. I met a lot of good teachers. One of my favorite teachers there, he taught world religion. I think his name was, I know he passed recently, I think Dr. Colvert. And that guy right there kind of was like my paradigm shift in life because I was in his class and I was one of those knuckleheads sitting back, like, I guess, making noise in the back of the classroom. He never said anything to me the entire time. He ignored me for the entire time, never said a word to me. But my last day of class, as I was walking out, I didn't pay much attention in class much. I escaped with a good C. And I was proud of that. But as I was walking class, he grabbed my arm and he looked at me and he said, "You have a lot of potential inside of you, and there's an aura about you, and you need to tap into that." And in my mind, I was like, "This guy's crazy. He doesn't know me. Like, I haven't even paid attention to this classroom." But that really stuck in my head. And ever since then, I look back and I always think about him. And it was kind of sad because I was telling my girlfriend the story. So I typed in his name and I recognized that he passed, and, rest in peace and all that. But he was a great man. But him saying that to me my last day of class kind of made me rethink my life and was like, I have to start taking things a little bit serious. And I probably do have something that's more inside of me. And I think everybody does. And I think is that moment of time where, you turn that switch on and you actually accept that you actually are more than what you see in the mirror.
That is awesome. And you certainly are. So tell us, were you given a lot of advice? What's the best advice you were given to have accomplished so much with your MBA and going through being in the Army? What advice were you given?
So, with the one life, I always say to people, like live your life to the max. And I think that our life journey is about like a continuous growth. So like in college, receiving that advice from Dr. Colbert, and then in the military, one of my things that and I can't recall his name, but the conversation I can recall, a master sergeant of the base, and he was just like, he asked me a question. He was like, "Oh, what's wrong?" Because I was like looking kind of gloomy that day, and while I was in Iraq, and I was like, all these things that are happening here in Iraq, I wish there was a better way about what's going on here. And he was like, "Well, change starts with leaders, and if you want to make change, instead of you sitting on the sideline and moaning and groping and talking bad about things, you can get rank and you can change." And that part, when I joined the Army, I came in as a E2, and I wasn't really caring about picking up a rank. I was just like, I'm just going to do my job, serve my country. I don't really care about rank because all the leaders are, making mistakes that I would do better. And he was like, "Well, you recognize that. Why don't you become a leader?" So, and then that was another shift in my life where my first year in Iraq, I went from E3 to they actually gave me a corporal, which they don't do that in the military, the Army anymore. And we were working hands on with Marines, which gave me mad respect because an Army person picking up the rank of corporal is like unknown. And for them, that means that you are squared away and you know your stuff. And then for me, picking up sergeant and the ability to know how things should be done from that little bit of a leadership style, I started doing that. So that was like one of the transitional things. And, one of the things too, as a police officer, when I first started, I met this kid, and he was extremely scared of me as a police officer. And he said that, it's just that my uniform, he thinks I'm aggressive. And it's like, those are things that I wish like I could do better at being a police officer. So, what I did, I made it my mission to kind of go out to different people and just to speak to them and just talk to them and kind of break that barrier. And you continue to get new advice from people as you're growing. I think that you have to be receptive to these things and just hear what people are saying, because even the smallest person can actually motivate you to make change and stuff like that. And I think throughout my life is like progressively as I keep going, I get around good people, and they kind of motivate me. Like yesterday, I was on the phone with my mentor. His name is Ken Surratt. He is the founder of Water is Life, and they're doing crazy things. Like they brought water to so many different areas around the world. It gives me goosebumps. And we're speaking to him, and I kind of like cemented the fact of what I want to do in life is, servitude, community, and create change. And a little bit of a conversation with him kind of like said, like, this is what I want to do, because he's going to Africa in like 2 weeks. And I was like, dude, I would go with you right now if I didn't have things lined up. Advice that someone gave to you, I think that is like continually growing. You just being more attentive to what people are saying, and you just soaked all that in. So
Definitely soaked a lot in, and you do have the aura about you, that is for sure. So do you have a favorite quote?
so we're doing an event with the Craft Life / the One Life, with a brewery down here in Fort Lauderdale called Orchestrated Minds Brewing. The co-owner, his name is Davey Martin, and his wife Jamie. We teamed up to actually put a One Life / Craft Life. So the Craft Life component is that we collab brewed a beer that I call the Iced Out. He brewed on his system, changed up the recipe. It's beautiful. But he gave me the ability to create the label and the bottling, and 20% of those sales for that is going towards our human trafficking mission with the Broward County court systems. With that being said, one of the quotes that are like kind of our ideology, that's me and Davey Martin, the owner of Orchestrated Minds, is that change is created by ordinary folks working together to do extraordinary feats. And that to me is one of our quotes that kind of symbolize like what we do as people, two people coming together. Like one thing is like we're strong, or we can move by ourselves, but we can change the trajectory together. And I think that's an important aspect of people, like a lot of competition going on in this world, but if everyone would work together, you can realize that we can do a lot more. And I think that the partnership between me and him to create change is, and especially in South Florida, coming from a brewery, everything that we're going to do on that day, May 15th, everyone mark your calendars, Fort Lauderdale, 2 to 6 at Orchestrated Minds. It's going to be transitional. I mean, it's just going to be something that we actually continue doing, working together and working with other people, getting other people involved to create this awareness, and hopefully that we can create change. But also that event, we're going to raise money for these strength packs that are going to be going to human trafficking survivors right here in Broward County, not going outside of our county. Is going to real work happening inside of our county. So, and these packs are going to females who have been identified as human trafficking survivors. We did our last pack that we gave last November. I dropped at the courthouse, and it was the female that I went to. She was being, in prostitution, human trafficked, and she's only 16 years old. And she got this pack, and it meant the world to her, especially going to the holidays. Two of my friends also, they gave us additional things, woman care products and stuff like that. And it made her day. So, definitely together. And it wasn't me, even though I was a facilitator of that. If it's everybody else, because we raised $600, I didn't raise that money. Everybody who bought shirts and attended our virtual bingo last year, and all these people, or it was not me. It's everybody who got involved on this. So
It's a beautiful story. Well, thank you for your service, and so much service, not only with the police department, but the Army, and giving back to One Life. Do you have a particular story? You must have saved a lot of lives, and been on the front lines. Is there any story that you want to share with us about being on the front lines? And
one of my favorite stories, and what touched me a lot, was probably about 2 years ago. For the city of Margate, we put on a autism awareness program. It was kind of like a touch a truck slash just an event to basically grow awareness for the whole spectrum of autism, and also bring our autism community together with the police department and let them know that we're here for them. We created this program called Project Autism with the city of Margate, and basically what happens with that is that if your child is identified as having autism or anything on the spectrum, they're able to get a sticker, and on that sticker they can put on their door, and it says Project Autism, and our officers know that somebody in this house is on the spectrum. And that means that also with that we gave them an ID card. So if our officers come in contact with this individual, they know that this person is on the spectrum, and we have a little bit of a data sheet that gives them all like who to call, what issues they have, what do they like, so we can properly relate to them. So on that event, I actually met this mother and father. Her name is Jessica Sanchez, and her son Ethan, and he was very, very, very scared of police. He was very scared of people. And if I can show you the pictures of us now, I've seen his growth as an individual, and you can see this person like become this little boy, and it's like when I first saw him, he was intolerable to sound. He wasn't listening. He was very agitated. But seeing him grow for the past going on 3 years, seeing him grow, coming over the house, like it makes me laugh because me and my partner go over to the house and we kind of met at the same time. But he's super affectionate with me, hugging me, like talking to me and all sorts of stuff like that. So like for me, that's a proud moment. And I think that for our department is a right step in the right direction. But for me, it's just like if you're not around that type of around that type, you don't understand it. And I think that's the biggest thing around with people is understanding and having awareness for people who are autism or have autism, autistic, or on that spectrum. Like you don't know. And for me, it's I guess you would say is like if you don't know, you really don't know. And for me now knowing, seeing him grow, puts a lot of things in perspective. So.
That is beautiful. It's a beautiful story. And again, goes back to you having that aura about you. I think you're very magnetic, that people are gravitating towards you. So the other thing, you've been given words of wisdom. People have helped you. In terms of you helping others, and again, speaking academically, this interview is going to be watched for prospective Broward College students and those that may be currently students. Do I want to take another class? It's challenging academically. What advice would you give everybody about academics? What do you think about education?
I believe in education 100%. I mean, it opened up my eyes. It puts information that in your head that you would never get there otherwise, especially in this day of age where information is aplenty, especially on YouTube and stuff like that. I always believe in formal education. Beyond Broward College, which obviously was the stepping stone for me. And Broward College actually introduced me to Nova, and that's even the reason why I went that direction. But with education and school and stuff like that, not only the network is super important, it's just the structure, the level, and also the teachers at Broward College and the teachers at Nova and all that. They've been in the business or they've been doing this for a long time, so they know the information, and they're talking to you and explaining things from a point of view that you would never get to, and I think that's what's important, is a perspective of that the educator to give you that that point of view from a different angle.
Wow. All right. Well, I know that you have a lot going on. You've got basically 4 roles that you play with the Margate Police Department, and your craft beer and your podcasting and your One Life nonprofit, and then your brand strategy and so much more. So I don't want to take up too much of your day. Just want to thank you profoundly on behalf of Broward College for letting us do this interview today. And we'll certainly be watching your career blossom into so many different areas. So thank you for your service and thank you for the interview. You're really an amazing person.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.